Okay, I just need to hi, everybody. I just need to let people know that I am now on YouTube, so just bear with me a second. Okay. Just let everybody know. Hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and I just wanted to let you know that we have been bounced around on a number of platforms tonight because we couldn't get in. For some reason, YouTube wasn't letting me in, but now it is. So hopefully we will be able to do this properly. I just let me put up this notification and we can be on our way. Wow, what a day of it. Hi, Becca. Thank you for following me through. I'm sorry that it was such chaos, obviously beyond my control. Otherwise, I would have done something else. But at least we can start now. So, for everybody that is on ghosting and everything else, welcome to DearMamaSal. Tonight, we are going to be talking about taking one step at a time. And the reason I wanted to talk about that is because I have had a number of things. Hi, Beth. Sorry for the delay, Beth. We had a problem with getting onto YouTube, and then I tried to do it on another channel, and then, we ended up back here anyway. Luckily, the glitch unglitched itself. So, I was just saying that if you can believe it, talk about getting ripped off. I bought this all-in-one nutritional shake, and it's brand new. I took one scoop out of it, this size. Look how little there is in there. So if I can show you, there's only this much in it. Can you believe that? That is a total ripoff, in my view. And so guess who won't be buying this product again? And what a waste when we're trying to save the environment from plastic. What a waste. I'm very, very upset about that. All right. So having said that, hi, Nana. Thank you for getting here. I appreciate it. Jody, welcome. And Chip. All right. Today, we're going to be talking about one step at a time. And I thought I'd do a case study on myself because I've got a couple of things that I can demonstrate it with. But if you happen to have a piece of paper and a pencil with you, you might want to do your own version of this. The other day, when we were mind mapping, we were talking about mind mapping. Quite a few of you wanted to know how that works. So I wondered whether you would like me to actually do a physical mind map with you so that you can see what that is about and why it works so well. And by the way, it does work really well if you concentrate on it and do it properly. So the thing that I've noticed is that there are three steps that I need to take in terms of downsizing that I haven't. One is to call a contractor to get a quote on how much it's going to cost me to do my deck and the roof to my shed and a couple of other things. The other is to call a gardener to find out how much it's going to cost me for them to go straight through the whole of my garden and also do the power washing just to make everything look clean and tidy. And there was a third thing, which I will remember probably as we go along. So do any of you have anything that you're procrastinating about? Because what I'd like to do is to have you go through yours as I go through the way I'm going to go through mine. So this is a real practical exercise. Now, some of you probably never procrastinate, but I'm not in that group. So what I wanted to do was to demonstrate to you that we all have a good reason for doing what we do. How many of you get very frustrated with people who do procrastinate because you don't? Do any of you uh, uh, don't procrastinate? Anybody in the room that doesn't procrastinate? Because I thought the first thing I would do is to help those people to be able to help their friends who happen to be having a procrastination problem. Okay, I'm sitting here because I couldn't understand why nobody was talking, but then I realized I had the wrong screen up for the talking. All right, so let's work this out. Right, well done, Becca. I'm very proud that you called a doctor. Yes, I'm sure. Nana, I'm sure you get frustrated with people. Yes, I can believe that. So here's the thing, Nana. If you are with somebody who you know is procrastinating, somebody that you know is, fairly intelligent person, and you're going, huh? Why are they doing this? Please remember, everybody has a good reason for doing what they do. So you've heard me say this time and time again, which is seek first to understand. Now, my suggestion is if you've got a friend of yours, and I'd like to believe that for some of you, I am a friend of yours, I would like you. Ah, hi, Debbie. Yes, you got to declutter as well. Yeah, I know. So this is what I really recommend you do. I really recommend that you seek to understand why somebody is procrastinating. So start with the positive, which is I know you to be a very smart, successful person, or whatever it is that you know about this person, and start off by saying to them, therefore, there's a good reason why you're doing what you do. Does that make sense to everybody? There is a good reason why you are not doing what you need to do. It's not a bad reason, it's a good reason. So, Becca, you had a good reason for not making that call earlier. You're right. And you know what it is. I know that my reason for not making, for not, I have two more rooms to downsize. And then I have the downstairs to sort out, but that downstairs actually, I probably will have somebody else. Yeah, I'll get Dougie in to help me with that because that's what I call man work. It's moving things around and just making it look tidy. It's not necessarily as much sorting through stuff. But I realized that there were these things that I was procrastinating about, and they're both telephone calls. So the first thing is, why? And that's what I wanted you to understand. And I'm going to take a piece of paper so that we can work. Hi, Sharon. Sorry that this was late. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go question mark, seek first to understand. Got it? And there are two things that one is garden. Actually, three things: garden, handyman, and the third one is actually finish downsize. Okay, so whatever you're trying to do a mind map on, do you see what I did here? So here is, I'm stuck. Here are the 3 things I'd like to move on this week. Does this make sense what I'm doing? Okay. So, I presume that you know I'm not an altogether stupid person. So I'm going to put a question mark next to each of these. All right. So I am putting a question mark next to them because I'm pretty sure you guys are going to want me to explain why I am procrastinating on all of these. And do you understand, if you're helping a friend, use positive words? I know you don't normally procrastinate this much. So is there something going on here that I don't know about? Right? That's what you need to do, because you cannot help them if you don't know the real reason why they're procrastinating. All right. So let me explain to you on each of these. If I phone the handyman, it may cost me money that I'm not ready to part with just yet. Does that make sense to anybody? So that's the one thing. The second thing is, I am not totally sure whether I want to replace the roof in my shed and the deck, or whether I want to sell the house with those 2 known defects. I can get it. Yes, I am aware that I can get a quote here. Yes, Nana, thank you for that. But you understand, I'm also not 100% sure that I want to do it. And that's part of why I'm a little bit stuck. But I agree with you. One step would be get the quote anyway. Does this make sense to people? Because until I get the quote, then I really can't do anything anyway. All right. Yeah, exactly, Nana. I understand that for you it is clear as day. And you know, it's clear as day for me as well. But it is also a scary thing for me. And that's why I've been procrastinating about it. All right. And I understand I can get a quote and say no. Now then, what about the garden? One is obviously there is money involved. And two, and two, the second thing is on the garden, I don't want to do it now. I don't want to do it now and then have to redo it, in 2 months' time. Does that make sense? So if I get everything all cleaned up now and I'm not ready to show it yet, that means all the weeds are going to start regrowing and I'm going to have to bring people back to redo it again. So that to me is not very smart. I would rather know that I am 99.9% ready, therefore bring the crew in, let's go straight through the garden, do everything, and now it's ready. And I can take the trailer and go and push off. Yes. All right. So I'm glad you can see that. Yes, I understand I can put bark mulch down, but that costs money, Nana. And this is the whole issue that keeps coming up. I don't want to spend so much money that I may not get back, and then I don't have enough money to put down the deposit on what I want to buy. Do you understand? It's easy to just say, oh, well, just put bark mulch down. Well, that's great if you've got money. Yes, the timing is everything. The timing is very important to me. Yes. Now then, somebody asked, and quite rightly so, surely if I don't do these things, it will affect the selling cost of my house. Absolutely. But there's no guarantee if I spend the money that I'll get my money back. So it's a catch-22. So that's why I've got to be very, very oh, great. Let's have a look. That's a good. So Nana's saying, what am I benefiting from postponing? I understand, Nana, what you said about the fact I really don't want to sell the place, but I do. I actually do want to sell it. I just got to get it in the right order for me. All right. And so I am taking those steps one by one, but I did hit. Oh, I know what the other thing is that I'm procrastinating about. Yeah. Okay, fine. Um, and the other thing I'm procrastinating about is shredding. Yes, Debbie, and that's what I'm saying. That it's called, okay, the reason it's priced this much is because it has two known defects. We've had them both looked at. This is what the estimates are. It will cost approximately this much to get them fixed. So, or if it's not too bad, I will spend the money, but then I may put myself very tight to be able to do the next thing I need to do. So that is why I am juggling. It's not because I'm stupid or lazy or whatever. It is because I haven't got a clear idea of what I'm going to do. All right. And so what happens if I have to buy an apartment and that's going to cost me every cent of what I'm going to clear? Well, this is the whole thing. That's why I do need to get the quotes done, Chip. And my realtor agrees with you that, I have an incredibly beautiful place. Um, and it definitely is still a seller's market at the moment. Plus, I have a two-bedroom suite, which people really want. And so I need some help. And that is, let's talk first of all. Oh, so do you understand that if I finish downsizing, how many of you can see that thing? If I finish downsizing, then I've got to show it. Once I show it, I'm going to lose my house, and I've got nowhere to go. In my mind, still don't know where I want to go. In terms of, do I want to get an apartment, a fancy fifth wheel? What is it I want to do? I still haven't quite got that one sorted out. So why? Yeah. So why should I rush it? Because the most important thing is that I am happy with the choice I'm about to make. How many of you understand that all of this has reason to it? So, did any of you see the video I put up regarding the? I went to have a look at the big rigs. It's and because I thought, could I do that? Could I live in a big rig? Ah, okay, Nana. So you understand at some level. And the other thing is, Nana, I need to do it more slowly than probably because I'm on my own. I'm trying to do it for myself, and I'm not a tidy person to start with, but I'm getting a lot better. So my reality is, I didn't expect you to be doing it again so soon. Yes, you moved on with it when you did it. Yeah, oh, you were in the same spot. Sorry, I thought you were saying you're gonna move again. Yes, I am certain that you were in the same spot as well. So, I'm doing a lot of research at the moment because that's what I need to do. Now, for those of you who saw the video on the big rig, I hope you laughed because I did have some fun. First of all, did you see the video before that about the place that I saw in the States? That allows you to take your big rig there and park it. And you basically own the land. You own your membership to that place. You don't own the land, but you own the membership. And you can bequeath your membership to people. So it's a really nice setup. The lots are really big, as you probably saw. When I say really big, they're substantial. There's enough room to put the slide outs out properly and put a deck out as well, both at the back and at the side. The exercising was too funny, yeah, on the big rig. If you haven't seen the big rig video, I kept finding big rigs with exercise machines in them. It was amazing. I hadn't expected to find that in a big rig, but apparently they've all got them. So I was quite impressed, and I found them by accident. I didn't even plan. It was just like, really. Well, you know me, Sharon. I like to make things as much fun as I can. But I was so grateful, Sharon, that I had done the research that I did. You know, uh, I'm okay, Becca. It's a big rig is actually a big RV in my world, and in most people's world. Um, a rig would be an oil rig, but not a ship. I've never heard a ship called a big rig, but maybe they call them that in the States. Yes, it's been happening a lot, Beth, and that's why I've been doing this research. The other thing is, if I bought this membership in the States, it actually is fairly reasonable, but I can only live there for 6 months of the year because I am Canadian. So that would mean that I would have to keep moving. Either go down for 2 weeks, live up here for 2 weeks, but I've still got to find somewhere here. So do you understand that would mean buying somewhere here and one in the States? So that doesn't quite work. Or to keep moving between the two, which quite honestly would be a pain. Ah, there you go, Nana. Yes, and I knew you'd understand what I'm going through at some level. So, do you guys? I'm gonna come bring it, live in your driveway, yeah. But worst come to worst, I've still got my beat up trailer in the driveway, so I could take that and go and live for the summer. I'm not worried about the summer. It's once the weather starts to turn. All right, so now then, here we go. I have got another thing that's procrastinate. Are any of you doing your own version of this, or am I just doing this for myself? Because I really did want to show you why it's important to do it for yourself. So I tell you what, Becca, because you're really good on Google, why don't you Google big rig and see what it tells you? Okay, you're doing yours, Chip. So, Chip, can I help you at all with yours? All right. So the last thing I'm procrastinating about is shredding. I've got an area in my bedroom that I'm throwing all that paper in that needs to be shredded. Now, how many of you know that is not an erotic experience for me? You know, how many of you know that sitting there and shredding is not my idea of fun? So there's part of me that goes, but it's not going to go away unless I go and do something with it. Do we all agree? So the one step that I need to take, the one step I need to take is to actually do it, right? Oh, great, Chip. So if you've got shredding as well, shall we challenge each other for this week? Seriously, the library has a shredding day. I didn't know that. Is it free? Yes, I. Thank you, Nana. I will contact my local library and see if they have that facility. If you wonder if what's just a Canadian thing, Becca? We still talking big rigs? Okay, shredding challenge accepted. Yay! I am so pleased. Now, are any of you? Oh, you three. Debbie, do you want to join us? So, what shall we have as our goal? All right, that's good. All right, because this is how we take one step at a time. Let's make it fun. Are we more likely to do it if we know that Chip and Debbie and myself are all going to be trying to get our shredding done? Now, what I suggest we do is we keep tabs of how much time we spent shredding. You have free shredding at your library as well, Beth. There we go. Very interesting. Now, there's part of me that says maybe we should all tune in. And shred while we talk. That's a bit difficult because you guys have to type at the same time, but we could do it on Tiny Chat or something. Yes, and it doesn't matter how you do the shredding. It doesn't matter whether you bring somebody in. Yeah, that's what I thought as well. Thanks, Sue. I appreciate it. Big rig to me is a fifth wheel or a toy hauler. Library shredding day. Okay. And is there only one a year? Because maybe it's done already. All right, but thank you. You loved the ones I saw. Oh, that's awesome. Which one did you like best? Obviously you've seen them already, Zoo. Yes, Manafort stuff. They taped it back together again. Isn't that amazing? It obviously wasn't cross-cut. Or maybe it was. But how many of you are going? They got people who really like jigsaw puzzles to do that. Paul Manafort is part of he was Trump's campaign manager, Becca. And he's just been sent to jail. They just revoked his $10 million bail and sent him to jail for lying and for trying to corrupt a witness. Okay, now then, in terms of the shredding, can I check with Chip and with Debbie, how much shredding have you got? Because there is another possibility, which is just to box it up and, shredding people will come and take it. Lots. Okay. So what I would suggest is the thing that takes time is the sorting through it. Is there anything in there that I need? No, you don't. You don't have to replace the couch. Okay. In all of them that I saw, with the exception of the last one, no, the last two, the other ones all have that setup where they have a possibility of having a sit-down couch with a table in the middle, and that couch turns into one bed, and then there's another bed above it. So all the first two that I saw both had that. Just so you understand, Zoo. And what I would do is actually just fold that seating arrangement up to the sides, which it's built to do. Move the top bed right the way up, and then that would leave me the whole of the garage to paint in. There isn't any good reason for that, Beth. Beth is asking me, for those of you watching this on the replay, the obvious question. Why keep so much stuff that needs to be shredded? I used to run a business, Beth. And when I say I used to run a business, but I have, years of business stuff in here. All right. Yes, the studio was ideal. I'm glad that you guys could see past the furniture in your minds and see that I could turn that into an awesome studio. But here is what I found. I found that it could be difficult for me to be able to put the whole of that back door folds down and becomes a deck, with a skirting around it. So, but I found that it's apparently very difficult to actually drop that down in most campsites because they're not built that big. They will be in future, but they're not at the moment. All right. So, yes, you're tired after 10 hours of work. You don't want to be shredding. So, how you do it, how you do it is up to you. All right. So my question is, if you want to make the phone call and find out how much it will cost for a van, I know that there's some shredding companies that literally will pull up at your door. You take your boxes out. It's a bit like the garbage man. You chuck your boxes, you give them to them. They chuck the boxes in and they shred it right there. The whole lot just goes into a massive shredder. Now, I don't know how much they charge for that, but I think what I would ask you all to do is to see. Yes, Iron Mountain. Yes, something like that. I have the equivalent of that. And by the way, I'm actually know some that are friends of mine, so I think I'd probably be able to do that. So, do you understand how we get it shredded is not the important thing. It's what one step can we report back on next week? Fair enough? Now, Jody, I've got to give Jody kudos on this one. Jody has a wonderful habit, I think, which is Mondays are the days she makes telephone calls. Your garbage company comes once a month to your door for shredding. Are you serious? Why don't you say, Debbie, why don't we commit? Do you think you could do half an hour in the week? And that's obviously shredding, tricking and shredding. I wonder how much we could get done in half an hour. Okay. So it's free, Beth? Wow. That is awesome to know. Huh. Yeah, we want to send our shredding down your way. But do Debbie and Chip agree with me? I don't want to send it to be shredded until I see what it is I'm sending. All right, because some of that stuff, I found some really important stuff in some of that. Um, and whenever I find loose paper, I put it into that corner. And then the idea is to sit down at least once a week and sort it and shred it. Now, I did that quite well for a couple of weeks, and then I sort of didn't find it very exciting. Wow, I must find out whether they do that in Canada. Huh, very interesting. Let me make a note of that one. Wouldn't that be fun? Why am I putting it here? Duh. Okay, hang on a second. It needs to be on here, right? So shredding. So one of the steps is check with municipality or the city, whatever you call it. Yes, and that's a really good idea. Scan important documents. Well, I don't. I don't shred important documents. Period. Important documents, I keep the original. But I understand that documents that I might need that information from. Today we can just take a picture with our phones. I mean, I think most of us have got cell phones now, so it's pretty easy to take a picture if we want to. Now, how many of you can understand that I've got stuff left over from when I ran seminars and did stuff like that, and I'm going, well, what if I wanted to run this seminar for the peeps? So there's part of me that doesn't want to let go of stuff very easily, and that's all right. Now, is there anything wrong, Nana? I need some support on this one. Is there anything wrong in boxing it up, marking the box, shredding, and taking it with me if necessary? You know what I'm saying, which is that I must not stop myself from the process because of the shredding. What I need to do is just get it into a couple of boxes and go, that is the shredding, but I will undertake to do half an hour of it this week. Is this making sense to people? You see, we get stuck for good reasons. That's what I'm trying to explain. The good reason is it's boring, or I don't feel like doing it. Okay, so Beth scans food recipes so she can do a spreadsheet on her food budget and household items. Clever. There are programs on the internet that will automatically give you your shopping list. If you decide what the recipes you want to use, it will actually give you your shopping list, what you need to go buy. Very clever. I mean, how did we live without these things? So very, very right. So we've done the shredding, all right? So you understand that I've got a couple of steps I can take on the shredding. Thank you for your help, everybody. Now then, finish downsizing. Anybody want to take a... Yes, Kerry's got a new job coming up. Anybody want to take a guess as to why I don't want to finish downsizing? She's got a new job. Becca? By the way, Becca, when did you go to see the doctor? Yeah, we're so excited for her. And Beth's got a new job too. So that's awesome. All right, so... Oh, you've been watching channels to prep your meals for the week. What are you packing them in? Well done, Becca. I'm proud of you. Beth, you already hate your job? I'm sorry to hear that. So Nana's saying that the reason I don't want to finish the downsizing is because I don't want to move. But that actually isn't it. I don't know where I want to move to. All right. I haven't quite got that clear in my head. Yes. Debbie, I agree with you, right? What I need to do is I've got banker boxes here. I think I'm just going to literally start putting stuff. I think I'm going to very quickly sort through it, which is definitely maybe, definitely maybe, definitely maybe, and not worry too much about, let me check everything very carefully. And just literally go, yes, 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 maybe, yes, 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 and get rid of what I can quickly. That's what I commit to doing. Now then, so what steps could I take this week to move forward on? I've only got 2 rooms left upstairs. I've done such a good job. I'm so proud of myself. So I've only got 2 rooms left upstairs. I'm going to commit to packing. Yes, those are banker boxes. And I love them because they are so easy when you move. They're easy for one person to take. Guys can take 3 at a time, but I find that, it really helps. for me. And also it's easy the other end when you are when you're unpacking them. Now, my realtor gave me a really good idea. I'm sure Nana probably did it anyway, but I didn't know about that. When I say I didn't know about it, I've marked my boxes as to which rooms they're for. But what my realtor said to me is get some color stickers. Get color stickers, and then for the living room is yellow, the bathroom is blue. Do you understand? Oh, you use, sorry, the lock. Oh, those. Yes. Okay. Got it. Rubbermaid for meal prep. I really want to do that. Yes. And I'm not surprised you did that, Nana. That's what I thought when I heard it. I thought, I bet Nana did that. So does that make sense to you guys? So instead of seeing boxes like that, they will have a dirty great yellow sticker on them or a dirty great red one or whatever. And then when I get to where I'm going, where I get to where I'm going, those rooms will have the same stickers on. So just put the boxes in the room that has that color. Does that make sense? That's a nice trick for anybody who's moving. All right. So downsizing, I'm going to commit to 4 boxes of downsizing in those 2 rooms. It doesn't matter which room. Okay? That's what I'm going to commit to. Anybody else want to commit to something? How many of you going, Sal, you need committing anyway? Okay, I commit to half an hour of shredding for a total of, hi, Jamie, and 4 boxes minimum get packed this week. How many of you can feel that I mean that? Now, some of you are saying, if I really put foot, I could probably do all of that tomorrow in one day. Right. So shredding is your one. All right. So I'm going to not only do the shredding, but I'm also going to do a minimum of 4 boxes. Now, the reason I am going to say 4 boxes. Right. Thank you, Chip. I really appreciate the support, because the fact that you're doing it as well will make it so much easier for me to do my stuff, because I'm going, I don't want Chip to beat me on this one. Yeah. I don't want her to have done half an hour and I haven't. That will really get up my nose. So to me, that makes it fun. It was like the exercise machine on the big rig video, right? I did not expect that to be an exercise machine. So Chip, this is about, if you can do it, I can do it. That's how I'm looking at it. No, that's okay, Beth. Absolutely okay, because you've done so much in the last few weeks anyway. So really, I know I'm a naughty girl. Hey, I really do want to tell you though, if ever you go big rig shopping, I am so glad I did all the research that I did. And I think it was Jody that said I probably knew more about the rigs than the guy that was selling them to me. But I was so glad I did that research. And by the way, when I first met Chris and we were on our way to that first rig, I said to him, before we went into the first rig, I said, I looked at him and I said, Chris, I need you to look at me for a second before we go in there. And I said, I need you to understand that I have done hours and hours of online research on these rigs. And I said, I have witnesses. They're called Jody and Lauren, where I literally researched through the night and twice. So believe me, I don't need you to tell me that this is a drawer, because I know that. I don't need you to tell me that this is, underneath this thing that there is a sink or 2. I'm more than capable of lifting it up and seeing. I may say to you, is this Corian or is it, quartz? I may ask that question, but I really don't need you to tell me the obvious ones, because I've been through all of that. I've done hours of research. So, but it was really interesting because Jody, you're quite right. There were a couple of places where I actually told him what he didn't know. And he was quite surprised. I didn't videotape it all, but there were a couple of places. I didn't want to put it on video because, I didn't want to embarrass him. But I actually was surprised. And the best one, Jody, the one that really blew his mind. He wasn't dealing with an artist now. The one that blew his mind, and this is just between us girls, but the one that blew his mind was the one we went to the back of one of the rigs, and I just took one look and I said, "Oh gosh, that's bad news. That's not a zero gravity." You see, some of these back doors come down on a spring, and by the way, you need to be a really tough, 6'4" to be able to do that on your own, and not a 70-year-old with not good upper body strength. But some of them have what they call a zero gravity back door. And that zero gravity, you can actually literally move it up and down with your little finger. All right. And so I took one look at the back of the door and I said, gosh, Chris, that isn't zero gravity. And, Patty was looking at me going, what? I said, it's not a zero gravity door. I need a zero gravity door. And he said, what? And he took another look. He said, you're right, it isn't. And then he said, I have to tell you something. You are a smart lady, because I want to tell you at 6'4", I would struggle to do this on my own. I would do it. But he said, I also know enough about you that you would probably try to do it and hurt yourself. And I said, yep, that's what would happen. I wouldn't be able to find somebody to help me, so I try and do it on my own. So therefore, that's not a good deal for me. I need a zero gravity. How many of you know that I would love to be able to go and just drop that thing down and look like it was a regular one, but actually it's a zero gravity, and I just made it look easy. All right, so here is the thing. Did you guys see the difference between the space you could have? I'm looking for the right model, Sue. Brand new isn't important to me because I know that I will lose 20% depreciation as I drive it off the lot or have somebody else drive it off the lot. I am aware of that. So the ones I were looking at, all those ones I looked at were all secondhand. How many of you thought they looked pretty brand new to you? And the only reason one of them I realized it was secondhand was because I felt underneath the shower faucets and I could feel that there was soap scum under there. So, it's like, okay, I got this. This is secondhand. And I was quite shocked because it looked brand new. Some people really look after their rigs. So they look fantastic, yes. And who said that they drooled when they looked at them? Now, I want to tell you, even Patty really liked that last one, no, the cottage, the second to last one. Not the champagne, the cottage that actually went down the steps. She really liked that one. But to me, the bedroom was so claustrophobic for me, I would go insane. Or I'd end up sleeping in the living room area. Or they didn't have a living room, it had a kitchen area. That staircase in the champagne, wasn't that fun? It was just like, here I come. I sort of needed the Afghan hounds either side of me as I walked down there, So that was a lot like a tiny house. But what was interesting, everybody? What was interesting to me? Yes, exactly, Zoo. It was pretty, but where would I paint? Because I'm not going to be painting in the main cabin area because that would be insane. I would just ruin a perfectly beautiful. If you paint in a toy hauler in a garage area, that stuff is stainless. That stuff is steel. You can scrub the paint off it. Or you can hose it down or do whatever. Every summer just hose it right down and just take a brush and get rid of it. Or put plastic everywhere. Get really strong plastic and put it everywhere. That's what I have in my back bedroom. Is I have some rugs underneath first, and then I have plastic. So if for any reason the plastic shifts, then there are old carpeting underneath to absorb any paint, so it doesn't, very little will get through. But all my floors are laminate, and the good news is that what do you call it? Acrylic paint comes off laminate very easy. Yes, and you see, Debbie, what I thought about, and this is where I found it very interesting when I was doing this whole thing. And for those of you who haven't seen that video on the big rigs, have a look at it and then listen to what I say. Debbie, tell me something. Did you saw the video? And I would like anybody who's seen that video, what things did I keep saying? What things did I keep repeating? Because I actually found that when I was editing it, and by the way, I had to edit it 6 times to get it to work. Um, I have a very strong stubborn streak in me. And after the 3rd time, I thought for some reason this video doesn't want to go up, and I'm going, I don't care. It's going up, and it takes as long as it takes. And if I have to do it again, I'm going to. But I didn't realize I was going to have to do it again and again and again, but I did. And I just stuck with it until it worked. And I actually had to change programs to get it to work. I have a very, do any of you know that feeling? It becomes personal between me and editing. You are not going to win. Oh, you are as well, Chip? Oh, that is so awesome. Thank you. It's just like, no, it's just a machine. So what I did was I actually switched editing programs because all I wanted was the vlog up. I didn't care which editing program I used. I just needed it to go up. Carrie also is stubborn. But you see, is it stubborn or is it determined? For those of you who weren't at the lunchtime broadcast, you might want to visit that. We actually had quite a broadcast at lunchtime today where we were talking about affirmations. So do you see that my tenacity, if you like, in doing this, Jody, do you see it as being stubborn or do you see it as determination? Yeah, so Kerry's saying sometimes it's both, right? Now, to me, it's commitment. It's really funny. To me, you will not see me have that commitment for myself, but I will for you guys. Isn't it weird? I going, no, the peeps will want to see this. I knew you'd want to see that exercise machine bit. I just knew that you would be crying with laughter with that. Beth, I don't think the real you is, quite honestly. I've got to be quite honest. I've had the joy of being able to interact with you on a pretty daily basis, and I don't see the real you. It actually is shy and passive at all. Oh, you did watch it already, Chip. So did it resonate with you? I am so pleased because I think it resonated with everybody who listened to it. Yeah, you see, to me, it's where is it stubborn and where is it just determination? I just refuse to quit on this. Oh, you would replace the the exercise couch? No problem, Jody. So you missed the exercise. You think I should just get rid of the exercise couch? So it doesn't really matter what label we put on it. And again, I prefer to put a positive label on it. Yes, Becca, I think that, if you saw your stubbornness as determination, it would change. Becca, if you haven't listened to today's lunchtime broadcast, I really recommend that you do. I think a lot of people would find that it was very It was very interesting how we started it, and then by the time we finished, we were all in a Zen moment almost. And you could feel it. I could feel it happening to me. I came off that broadcast going, "Wow, that is so cool." So if that's awesome. So do you all right, let's go back to this for a second. On the handyman, can you see the one step I could take is to make that call? And that's why I was saying, Jody, that was it. Jody, you do a great job of making your difficult calls on Mondays. All right? So the thing is, if I call, at least I will have done something. So that's my goal, is to make a call. Now, do you understand that next week we could revisit this and we could, highlight the things that I got accomplished and then carry on? What needs to be done next? Yes, you know something, Jody, I've noticed that you always make those difficult calls on Mondays. Kerry, that's how a lot of people said that. They really felt it. It was very soulful stuff. And I'm glad about that because with your permission, I'll probably do a couple more of those with affirmations because affirmations are a wonderful thing. And no, you won't need a Kleenex at all. Well, I don't know because how you respond to things is yours thing, not. It wasn't that sort of stuff. It was about positive energy. Becca, in a nutshell, just so that you know, they say that the average number of negative thoughts that go through our mind is something like, I think it said 45 to 52,000 an hour. It's insane. And so we need affirmations to balance out the good, right? To get some good balance in there. And if we're not doing it, then the negativity just keeps us down all the time. Medical Monday. Let's call it Medical Monday. And I'm going to call it Procrastination Monday. So, yeah, they said 80% of the thoughts that go through our minds, they say it's something like, I think they said 150 to 300 a minute. Yeah. Why would you wait until you're back to yourself? Why don't you do it? Maybe it'll help you get back to yourself. So, but whenever, do it whenever. So, Kerry, I did see that and I will do that. It's the same thing as I think some of you found some help when we were doing these quotes, these positive quotes. Yeah. Why would you want to track the number? I don't know how they did it, but they probably have a way of doing that electronically these days. Okay, Becca, I want to give you a big hug and tell you that your ability to overanalyze everything is what really does a number on you. I am sure that I can't remember who the organization was that did it, but I'm certain they had a benchmark way of doing it. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been in that study. But the important thing is, just honey, just don't overanalyze it. Just know that let's put it this way, Becca, they reckon that for every minute, 80% of the thoughts that go through the average mind are negative, not positive. How's that? Don't worry about how many you have. And the problem is that a lot of them are subconscious. Yeah. Oh, the overanalyzing? Yeah, Becca, it's okay. It's part of your nature to take things very literally. And it's okay. And that's, when you start doing work on yourself, you're gonna find out a lot about why we do that. I'm sure Kerry will tell you she used to do that, and I certainly used to do it too, Becca. I used to query everything down to the last nth just because I could. Yes, Debbie, I'm glad that you found that helpful, and I'm totally glad that you found it helpful because this, and I have to thank a couple of the viewers who asked me to do more of this adult and child stuff. And I'm trying not to do it in a too obvious way. I'm trying to do it in a roundabout sort of way so that nobody gets too offended by it or feels that they are a loser because of it or something. It's not about that. It's just about this is how a child would think, and this is how an adult would think. And once you can see that, um, yeah, Becca, you know something? A lot of people do it for control. It's the only way they can control is to analyze it. Yeah, definitely time to break that cycle and get the help so that you can. I want to tell you something. I found it amazing, Becca, when I started to get help. I remember a therapist looking at me and going, "Wow." And I said, "Wow." And he said, "Yeah, you are good. Intellectually, you are amazing." You know? Good, Becca. One step at a time. Do it at your speed. I am totally behind you there. But anyway, Becca, I remember he said to me, intellectually, intellectually, you are quite something. I said, "Oh, really?" And he said, "Yeah. But how do you feel?" I go, "What?" He said, "But how do you feel?" I don't know. Well, that's what you're here for, to feel. And I realized, it took me a long time to realize I was allowed to get angry and I was allowed to tell the truth in there because I didn't have to impress this person. This person was there to help me. And therefore, it was a lot easier if I told the absolute truth. And one day, I remember I have somebody calling me. What label did she label me as? Ingratiating. There you go, Becca. How would you like to be called ingratiating? And I just did a number. I just to say it triggered me is to put it very, very calmly. Okay, so Jody, if you'd like to get us the official definition of that, I'd appreciate it. Yeah, Kerry. And I think that once you realize that, this is a lifelong process. This is a lifelong process. When we start working on ourselves, it's not like, okay, I'm fixed now. What I found is, okay, I've got that layer fixed now. I I can remember going in to see a therapist, and I remember saying, Beth, I'm not sure how one is meant to do this. And they said, "What? I'm not sure. I've never been told how to do this." How many of you would feel the same way? I've been taught how to sit nicely at a table. I'd been taught how to put my knife and fork in the right places. I'd been taught a lot of things, but nobody had ever taught me what do you do when you go and see a therapist. And I was quite concerned about that. Oh, you did? Really, Becca? That's awesome that you also felt it. I feel so much better. Yeah, it's like, I don't know what you do here. And instead of letting them tell me what to do, I just got myself into quite a little, thing. So here's the thing about life and about procrastination and about anything. It's all part of our psyche. We all do it in different ways. Do you all get that now? No, Beth, I need to tell you something, Beth, that nobody makes you feel bad about yourself. It's how you process that makes you feel bad about yourself. Do you understand that? That's the thing I had to learn. People cannot do it to me. I do it to myself when I process what they're saying that way. It is amazing. We do a lot of work on that, Beth, so hang around and it'll make more sense. So Kerry, you can feel yourself starting to withdraw again. Okay, that's good to notice. It's good to notice because that shows great ah, that shows great growth. All right, so here we go. Ingratiating, for those of you who wanted to know what does that really mean, it means deliberately doing something to gain favor. In other words, that I do this not intentionally to get people to like you. And I'd like to suggest I do an awful lot of things that show that I don't do that. Yes, Beth, of course it's your perfectionistic thing. Glad you can see that. Well done. That's then if the only reason that you did it was to find that out, that's awesome. You see, that's it, Becca. That's why I queried it, because I said, I could give examples where I had been in a group situation and I had done a lot of things that definitely weren't making me popular. I, in fact, was challenging a lot of people and a lot of people hated me for it. But you know something? There was no way I was being ingratiating. But if that's what you want to see in me, that's your right. But I said I'm a little bit surprised to have a therapist see that, because that would make me query where you're coming from. How many of you can imagine me doing that? What is it in you that sees me as ingratiating? Because you understand it's all a perception. Yes, we already have the perfect perfectionist, yes, and we don't need to follow them, quite right. You know something though, Kerry, that's a great subject. Should we do some work on that and how to trust more? Would that be something that a lot of you would be interested in? But you see, I don't believe. Oh, Debbie, that is so normal. That is so normal. Uh, g- Debbie, can I give you a situation that happened to me? And it really helped me understand this. There was a time in my life, Debbie, where my father was dying. And the hospital phoned me, Debbie, and said to me, actually, somebody else phoned me, and my sister phoned me, but it's not the situation is the same. What the thing was, if we keep feeding him intravenously the medicine that we're feeding him, it will continue to um, erode his veins, and they will eventually just give out. All right, you got that picture, Debbie? Um, but if we take him off those medications, then he could die from not having them. So they needed me to make a decision. And the first thing I did was to call a minister. I'm not somebody that calls ministers very often, but I did that day. And I said, I'm a little bit terrified because I think I'm playing God. Do any of you relate to where my fear was in this? And so what I actually said was, I need some help here, some guidance. Because my sense is, if the medication he is on is dissolving his veins, then I think that we should stop it. But they hasten to say that if we stop it, he could die from not having them. And you know, the most incredible thing happened, Debbie. The minister I was talking to knew me very well and absolutely burst out laughing and said, "Oh, you think you're that powerful?" I said, "What?" And he said, "You think you're that powerful, Sal? You see, Sal, if God wants your daddy to live, it doesn't matter whether you stop it or not. He will still live. So you make the best call that you can based on the reasons that you want to make it and know that God will handle the rest." How many of you can see that I could have analyzed that from 14 ways to Sunday, and I couldn't have come up with a better answer than he gave me? I thought it was wonderful. So, Debbie, I think in that moment, I'd like to give you a big hug because we all go through these moments, you know, where we have situations, whether it's within our family or whatever. And, you know, our job is not to please everybody. Our job is to be happy. And if being happy means letting go of a few, a few relatives along the way, you know, maybe that's good for you. And if you are able to do it without doing that, it's also okay. You see, I really, and again, what we said at lunchtime was that your speed is the right speed. Debbie, you did it the best way you possibly could. And I think that anybody would have had a moment of questioning, what should I have done? What could I have done? And you know, the answer is nothing. Do you not think that, for example, you know, all Anthony Bourdain's many friends, and I am amazed how many colleagues at CNN and how many people, you know, talked about Anthony Bourdain, and you could tell that they just didn't know he was in that much pain. And so many of them felt really sad about that. And I look at it and go, I totally understand where they're coming from. You know, I totally understand. There was part of me that went, how come he had me fooled? You know what I mean? It was like you could tell that he had demons, but you also got a sense that he was in control of the demons. And therefore, I still believe that there's more to the story. I really do. Yes. Oh, Nana, what an incredible thing. Nana, can I read that out for the people who may listen to this on the replay? Because that is such an important thing to understand. Yeah, so Nana said here, I used to say, no, God, don't take him now. This is talking about her daddy. And then one day I knew it was okay with my dad. And right after I kissed him and I said, I love you, daddy. And he died. I did that with my aunt. You know, I got calls um, from Africa about my aunt. And they said they didn't understand. She kept pointing and pointing to the wardrobe in her hospital room. There was a wardrobe, and she kept pointing to it, and nobody could understand why she was doing it. And eventually, my mother said, "We need to call Sal. Sal will make sense of it." And they did. They called me, and I said, "Tell me what she's doing again." And they said, "She keeps pointing to the wardrobe, and she's getting very upset." And I said, "Is her purse in that wardrobe?" And they said, "What?" I said, "Is her purse in that wardrobe?" And they said, "Well, yeah, it is actually." I said, "Give it to her. She wants to go. And she never goes anywhere without her purse. So please give her her purse and tell her it's okay. If she wants to go, here's her purse." and she died within a couple of hours, clutching her purse. So, do you understand that that's why you remember the 6 times I had to re-edit that one piece of, footage? Well, many bits of footage, but when I had to do it 6 times, do you understand, I realized I need to really concentrate on what I'm saying in here because for some reason, I am being asked to re-edit it 6 times. That means I had to listen to my stupid chit-chat 6 times. And then the last time I edited it, I really listened to what I was saying. How many of you got a real sense that to me, the art garage was more important than a living room? How many of you got that message loud and clear? So what I did was I really, listened to everything I had to say. Kerry, I think it's wonderful that you can see that, you're not ready to be alone. I think any of us who've lost our parents feel that way. I think that is quite normal. So to me, um, that is growing up, right? That's what they say about when people close to us pass on. It is about moving moving on. Yes, you actually you absolutely got that message that I need space to throw paint around where I'm not going to ruin carpets and furniture. Yeah, Nana, you know something though? I have met in my time, I've met many adopted people who were absolutely delighted that it happened to them because they realized that the life that the adopted parents gave them was far better than the life they would have had. And they got to a place where they actually could thank the mother that let them go for letting her go for the right reason. I don't know, Kerry. It's okay. So, I think when we're talking about one step at a time, I also want to remind you all. Yes, Nana, and but I look at some of their parents committed suicide, the ones they thought they could trust. You know, I understand we've all got horror stories but that is in the past. You cannot change it. It's never going to change. It is what it is. If you continue to hang on to it and continue to live in that pain, however bad it is, um, you can't move forward. It's like, all the Me Too people. If we continue to live in the agony of what happened to us, we will never live lives in the present or the future because we will just see nothing but pain and trauma. And so, to me, I'm not saying this lightly because it's not like that. All of you who have had terrible things happen like this, that it is we all have our cross to bear, and that's the way that I choose to look at it. Some of us have sickness, some of us have trauma, some of us had this, some of us have that, but if we keep hanging on to it, we will continue to be sad and not live productive lives. And I understand that it's sad and it hurts. I assure you, I did not want to get raped in my lifetime. I can tell you that. That was not my idea of, in my, live happily ever after scenario, that wasn't it. Never mind twice. So, I look at it and go, did that stop me trusting people? You bet it did. But I had to learn to get past that. I know you have, Nana, and you've done a great job. And I really encourage you to find a positive around that. Yes, it happened, but I am so grateful I had those years that I did with my second mother. Even if they were short, I am so grateful to have had them because she taught me what love really looked like, and I was able to pass it on to my children. Do you understand? That's what I was doing at lunchtime, is teaching people how to take the negative and then add on to it to create the positive. Nana, does that make sense? And you've done a wonderful job with your family. I know that. And you've had some difficult challenges, right? You've had, not all of your children went down the straight and narrow path, and you had to learn to some tough love things, and you've done a great job with them. Right, and because she's doing it through you, right? So, to me, Nana, I really would beg you to not do this to yourself too much. Beth, I know that you've got your demons. I know that Chip's got hers, and I'm sure Debbie's got hers. We all have. But, every now and then, yeah, I hope it does, Beth. And if you can, listen to the whole thing. Put it on. Just put it on when you've got time. It's a little under 2 hours. And, maybe listen to it as you go to bed. But the last half of it was really meaningful for a lot of people. Becca, it's bound to be triggering because we all have pain. Well, I'm not asking you to be in pain. I'm asking you just to see that we have to choose how long we hang on to these things because we cannot change what has happened. All right? And so again, Becky, you may want to listen to the broadcast we did. Hi, Angeline. Welcome. Dear Mama Sal and friends. Yes, absolutely. You're glad you lived with the parents you loved and who loved you dearly. Yeah, Angeline. Perhaps you'd like to tell us where you're from. Yeah, roughly, country even, and roughly your age. Have we seen you before? If so, I apologize because the name doesn't ring a bell. Then nothing rings a bell with me at my age. And you're in Connecticut. Okay, so everybody, just give a decade of age and where you're from so that Angeline gets an idea. I'm in my 70s and I'm sitting in Canada, as you probably already know. By the way, my realtor has asked me to get rid of the flag. Yes, Kerry, yes, do that. Don't let that control you. All right, because I know that you know how now. Minnesota, I think, maybe. Something was missing in there. But okay, so what I always find interesting, don't you dare get rid of the flag. That's what I said. It's going in my broadcast box, so it'll come out, even if I have to hold it or maybe stick it in my head. The reason, Becca, do you want me to tell you why you can't do the deep breathing? Or my experience is, if deep breathing actually forces us to let go of some thoughts. And that's why it's very difficult for you. You really want to hold on to those thoughts. For some, at some level, you don't want to let go and live in reality on that. And I understand it. That's what grieving is all about, Becca. And that's why, get some counseling. Grieving counseling is a really good idea for you, because you will learn so much about yourself, and it won't just be about grieving. And that is my experience. And there have been times in my life, Becca, where I've been going through stuff and I know I'm holding on to it far too long. And what I do is I actually will say, excuse me, I need somebody who can help me sort through this, because for some reason I am stuck in this mentality and I know it's not healthy. So I like the way I said, give a decade and you're all. All right. So everybody, thank you for this. I'm hoping that this has been helpful. All right. So who have I got on my team for this? This is Debbie and Chip, right? They both agreed to. They're the only two that's got to get something done. Yep. So Chip, I've got you on there. So we are committing to 30 minutes of shredding. And I am also committing to at least 4 boxes packed. Now, what I will do is and it doesn't matter what's in them, you see, that's the thing I'm learning. Just pack 4 boxes. You're going to make pancakes in the morning. I do that normally on Sundays. Yes, Jody. I understand. By the way, Jody, am I allowed to tell the story about what you did with the inspection people? Okay, thank you. All right, so listen to this one. Jody, as some of you know, is pretty much bedridden for the most part. She can't get around a great deal. And so she had a notification from her landlord that they wanted to do an inspection of her place. So they had said they're going to be there between 12 and 4. Fair enough. So she and Lionel tidied up the place and got ready for them to arrive between 2 and 4. At 4 o'clock, they hadn't arrived. So Lionel went out to go grocery shopping for them. Understandable. And what time did they knock on the door? 6:30? Was it, Jody? 5:30 or 6:30? Which was it? I know it was a 30 in there. 5:20, sorry. Wrong by 10 minutes. That was very picky of you, Jody. Anyway, 5:20, rat-a-tat-tat on her door. And guess who? It is the inspection people. And I was so proud of Jody, because Jody said, I'm sorry, you said that you would be here between 12 and 4. I would love to let you in, but my husband has left to go shopping and I cannot let you in as I am bedridden, or whatever she said to them. How many of you know she was perfectly within her rights? Now, I also know that Jody, because I know Jody fairly well, was really pissed off because why didn't they have the good manners just to tell her they were running late? Because she probably would have let them in. How many of you relate to that story? But how many of you would have said, I'm sorry, you said between 12 and 4. It is now 5:20. I have got on with my life. You'll have to reschedule. Yeah. How many of you would let them in anyway? You were halfway through cooking dinner or whatever, and you'd still let them in. No. This is like they told you they would be there between 12 and 4. And you got ready for that, and you were Yes, Beth, I know that, honey. Big hug. For anybody who would have let them in, I wanna give you a hug. But you understand, I realized how much Jody has grown, right? And Lion this is what she's saying, Lion even called the office at 4, and they told him to go ahead and do his errands. Exactly. Yes, Chip. You see, this is why we all get together a couple of times a week, is to tell these stories. So how about a big round of applause for Jody? You said between 12 and 4, it's now 5:20. What is it about that story you don't understand? Now, when they make the next appointment, do you think that they're gonna be a little bit more careful about being on time? You see, but you know something, Beth? Jody wouldn't have done that when I first met her. Right, Jody? So this is about no, this is okay. But they always keep their word. That's right. So the fact that they are not on time doesn't mean you have to change your life, especially if it is after what I call working hours. We all want pancakes now, Kerry. I quite agree. I might just make myself some crepes for dinner. So, big hand there to Jody. And Jody, you understand it's these little things where you stand up for what is right that makes a difference. Yeah, it's called BS. Before Sal. It's a whole new definition of BS now. I like that, Jody. I know you would have opened the door before. And by the way, you would have just been so resentful that, you're not, you started not tidying up the house and whatever. This was like I was ready between 12 and 4. Yeah, and so that's why I think it's amusing. I know Lionel will like that as well, Jody. Make sure you pass that on. I'll try not to take it personally, people. Well, you've heard of BC, which is where I live, but yeah, now it's BS. Yeah, you know something? Would you let me in, Beth? But you see, Jody knows there's no way I would just come knocking on the door. I wouldn't do it. It's not who I am. Okay. Hi, Beth. It's me. I wouldn't wish that on anybody without warning. Yeah, see, Jody knows I would never do it to her because I wouldn't do it to myself. I don't function at that level. Yeah, Carrie, and I'd be saying, "I'll sit and wait in the car here then, just come out and have a chat, and I'll take you for coffee." Bring Dora. By the way, Carrie, if ever you see a dirty great fifth wheel outside your door, think that could be Sal. I still haven't decided that that's what I'm gonna do. You know that. I have do you know what I've started doing this week? Just for those of you who are following this journey. This week, I'm starting to seriously look at two-bedroom apartments. And the reason for that is I want now that I've seen all right, how many of you are pretty good at math? Um, all those fifth wheels, those big toy haulers, everything, they're made to fit within 400 square feet. Now then, how many of you can imagine what 400 square feet looks like? let me just check with you. What side is your bedroom? That's the way to work it out. So work out what size your bedroom is and how many square feet that is. Just sort of, is it 10 by 10 or is it 10 by 9 or whatever it is, right? Now, mine happens to be a particularly big bedroom. So, when I thought about it, I thought, that's an awful lot of money to pay for 400 square feet when I'm not going to own what's underneath me. And they can move me every 6 months. And, so let me now go and look at what happens if I buy. And if we're not good at math, yeah, get your calculator out. Yeah, Angeline, just think about that. Um, my bedroom, I haven't got my phone with me here. That's surprising, but I haven't got my phone with me. I think my bedroom is something like 16 by 14. Can somebody do the math on that for me? Um, yes, Jody. And as I said to him, I really like this rig because it has the same basin that I have. You understand that's psychological. Yes, but now, Chip, can you understand that? Now I can go and look at apartments and go, this is what 1,000 square feet costs me. Do I want to pay that much extra or do I want to live in 400? Yes, and I actually have a waterfall faucet in mine as well. So you understand that I know is very important to me. Did you notice, by the way, when I was going through those rigs, how many times I tapped the faucets? I wanted to know whether the faucets plastic or were they metal, and it was hard to tell, quite honestly. And I realized that for me, the high quality finishings are important, apparently. Yes, Chip. Do I want to be moving every 6 months? Maybe more so if I were 50, but at 70, do I want to be doing that? But then there was the other thing, Chip, and I'd like you all to think about this. What I said to Patty, my realtor and my friend, what I said was, Patty, if I actually do decide to go for an apartment, I am going to have to force myself out. I like the idea of a traveling art show, I must say, because why couldn't I have it on the side of my trailer? Yes, Beth, I am aware I am aware of that. I've seen it on the television, honey. So there's part of me going, maybe, maybe there's another way. Maybe I spend a bit of money redoing the trailer I already have. Not spend that much money, but still have a trailer that I can get away from things. What I'm gonna really miss more than anything is the company of having. Yes, I know that. I know that, Nana, and I wasn't planning to pull it. I was planning to have somebody else move it. That was my thought. I don't want to have to buy a $60,000 truck or an $80,000 truck. I would just rather pay for them to move it from point A to point B every now and then. Yep, that was I had already if you on some of the broadcasts, I had already discussed that. Maybe I didn't wanna spend that much money. I like my Jeep. So my big concern is not to go, and lock myself in an apartment without Yvonne, being there to chit chat with or whatever, and really end up in depression because I'm not getting out there into the world. And because I'm not, discussing things or whatever. Now you guys, will help me out on that, I'm sure. But do you understand that is something that is one of the things I am not looking forward to is What if I end up somewhere where I don't particularly like it and and I end up getting depressed again? I don't want to do that. Well, no, Yvonne has her own space and her own family. So, I understand what you're saying, though. It is my intent to actually make, if possible, to make it possible for Yvonne to get somewhere. So, because for me, in your apartment, perhaps, Beth? Beth's record is stuck on that. So yeah, and I'm certain I will meet new people and I make friends fairly easily. Yeah, yeah, there's probably a piece of chip stuck underneath it. Can you turn it upside down and shake it a bit? It's amazing what comes out when you do that. I've seen it happen before. I understand the problem. Anyway, guys, I really want to thank you. I hope that this little bit of mind mapping um, helps. I want to do some more mind mapping to show you about how to keep balance in your life. Um, so this is what it looks like. And can you see that when you do it this way, you've got room to keep adding things on and so forth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I've got all the bits in here, and then next week we'll see how many bits, I'll highlight it, the bits that we've done. Yes, you know something, Nana? You know something? I really believe that. That's why I'm not rushing. I didn't feel it looks like a spider's web, yes, and that's how it should look. And by the way, if you think of something and you haven't got room down here, you can always draw a little line up to here because that's where it goes. Do you understand? And I've got some of you saw it. I've got ones that I've done on really big pieces of paper. Yes, and that is fine. By the way, if you want to put pictures on it, I used to do a lot of my mind mapping with magazines next to me in the days when we had magazines, and I'd cut out pictures of this is what I'd like my living room to look like, and this is what I'd like my bedroom to look like, so forth. So, have fun doing them. The other thing is, I found it incredible when I pulled that out 20 years later to find out how many of those things I actually did. That is what was amazing. Without even remembering what was on there, just the fact that I had done it made some of those things come true. You see, we are what we think about. And I'd like to remind you that if 80% of what we're thinking about is negative, we're going to be depressed. That was what I was saying. It was really neat, Becca. It was amazing how many things, that I saw on that mind map, how many things I actually had achieved in that 20 years. And the funny thing is, Becca, do you know what the weirdest thing was? The most peculiar thing was that I had talked about relationship, and I wanted to be in this relationship where there was trust and understanding, and I had all these bits of relationship that I wanted this relationship to be. And when I read that, I laughed. And you know why, Becca? It wasn't that I found it in a man, I found it in Yvonne. So I just did that. It just wasn't the way I thought it was going to be. I found somebody that I could trust, and I found somebody that I could, really tell my truth to. I found somebody who would tell their real truth to me, and that we gave equal time. And when I met her, she was really hurting. And now she is helping me. I trained her apparently quite well because now she's really helping me. How cute is that? So sometimes the things that we want in our life don't come true the way we want them to, but they actually come true. That's my experience. So I want to give you that piece of hope. There are days when the future looks really gray or doesn't look at all, but here's my experience. I think that if we can see that there's always just a glimmer of hope out there, and we should keep heading towards that glimmer of hope. So, with that thought in mind, this is Dear Mama Sal saying thank you so much for your time again. And I did, by the way, go in, for those of you who were here at lunchtime, I did go into the art studio between the two broadcasts, which is what I committed to do, and I made a mess. Maybe by Sunday I'll show you what the mess was. I did a small mess, luckily. It wasn't a big mess, but it was a mess. And I just went, and of course, I even had the camera on, and I'm going, well, there wasn't much point in having the camera on that. But that's art. Some days it works, some days it doesn't. And I'd like to think it's also life. So big hugs, everybody. I hope that you've had some benefit out of this. Definitely listen to the lunchtime one. For those of you who want to laugh, watch the thing on the big rigs and see the exercise machine. For all of you, thank you for all the work you do. Yeah, send me. Yeah, if any of you want to send me the mind map, do that, and well, I'll put them up and see how we're doing on these. If you like, we could actually maybe store them somewhere and bring them back in a year and see how much we've done. This is Dear Mama Sal saying thank you for your time, thank you for being who you are, and understand your speed is the right speed for you. Just let's keep taking one step at a time towards the positive. This is Dear Mama Sal saying bye bye for now.